At 12:47 a.m., Mark, a freelance video editor from Los Angeles, received a strange email from an unknown client offering him a high-paying job to edit raw security camera footage from an old apartment building, with one strict condition written in bold. Do not pause the video and do not look directly at the camera feeds for too long. Which immediately made him feel, but the money was too good for him to ignore. So he downloaded the files and started working, thinking it was just another normal editing job. Yet, somewhere deep inside, he had something about this job didn't belong to the normal world. As he opened the first footage, he saw a silent apartment hallway, flickering lights and empty doors. And at first, everything seemed fine. But after a few minutes, he started feeling, because every time he looked away and looked back, something in the footage felt slightly different. Like reality itself was shifting in small, invisible ways. And he whispered to himself, "It's just editing fatigue, nothing else." But at exactly 1:03 a.m., one of the camera feeds switched on automatically, showing a long corridor with a chair placed in the middle. And Mark instantly felt, because no security camera should show objects placed like that. And when he zoomed in, his heart dropped slightly as he saw a shadow sitting on that chair. And he felt, but still convinced himself, it might be a glitch or corrupted footage. Then suddenly, a message appeared on his screen. "You are watching it too closely." Which made him feel, because he had never shared his screen or told anyone about the job. And before he could even process it, another camera feed turned on, showing a room that looked exactly like his own apartment. And he felt, because that was impossible. As he leaned closer, he saw a version of himself in the footage sitting on his bed, staring directly into the camera. And at that moment, he felt and he leaned back instantly saying, "This can't be real. This is not possible." Trying to convince himself. But then all camera feeds started switching rapidly, and every single one showed disturbing scenes. Empty rooms, moving shadows, and that same chair appearing again and again. And Mark started feeling his hands slightly shaking as he tried to control his breathing. Then a message appeared. "Do not look into feed 7." And at that moment, he felt, because every human instinct told him not to open it. But curiosity won and he clicked it. The screen showed a dark hallway, then a mirror at the end of the corridor. And in that mirror, he saw himself sitting at his laptop. And he felt, because the reflection version of him slowly turned its head toward the camera, even though he himself was not moving. His heartbeat increased as he felt, realizing something was deeply wrong. And suddenly, all camera feeds synchronized, showing him from different angles inside his own apartment. And he felt, because he was completely alone. His door slowly started opening, and he felt as if something was entering his space even though nothing was visible. And the message appeared. "You were never the editor. You were the subject." Which made him feel, because at that moment, he understood he was not in control anymore. He stood up suddenly, turning toward the door, but nothing was there. Yet when he looked back at the screen, his digital version was now standing up too. And he felt, because it was copying him in real time. All feeds started glitching harder, lines breaking across the screen like reality itself was tearing apart. And Mark's breathing became as he tried to make sense of what he was seeing. But nothing felt stable anymore. And one final feed locked itself automatically, showing his own face staring directly back at him from the screen. But the expression was wrong. Too still, too aware. And he felt like his identity was no longer his own. Like something was slowly replacing him, frame by frame inside the system. His hands froze over the keyboard as he whispered, "This is not possible. This is not real." But the reflection on the screen didn't blink, didn't move, just watched him, as if waiting for him to accept something he wasn't ready to understand. And then suddenly, a message appeared across every active feed in bold white letters. "Don't look away." And at that moment, Mark felt, because instinctively he wanted to look away, to escape the gaze. But something deeper told him that breaking eye contact might be even worse. Like the moment he stopped watching, something else would take his place. His heart started pounding uncontrollably as he leaned back in his chair, trying to disconnect the laptop. But his fingers were shaking so badly he could barely grip the charger. And when he finally pulled it out, instead of shutting down, the screen flickered violently and everything went completely black for a second, leaving him in total silence. And in that darkness, he heard it, a whisper from all directions at once, surrounding him from inside the room, inside the walls, even inside his own thoughts, saying softly but clearly, "We've been recording you longer than you've been watching us." And Mark felt like something had just confirmed that he was never in control from the beginning. His entire body went cold as the screen suddenly turned back on without power, glowing again in the darkness. And now there were no camera feeds, no windows, no menus. Only a single live view of his own room. But the angle was impossible. It was coming from a corner that didn't physically exist in his apartment. And he slowly turned his head toward that direction, only to see nothing there. Yet the feed clearly showed him from that exact point, sitting at his desk, frozen, staring at the screen. And that's when he understood something terrifying. That the camera wasn't inside the laptop anymore. It was inside the room itself, watching him directly without any device in between. And in that feed, his own physical body was still sitting at the laptop, unmoving, while the version of him on the screen slowly began to stand up, mirroring his exact movements seconds ahead of time, like the footage was predicting reality instead of recording it. Mark stood up abruptly, knocking his chair slightly backward, and the sound echoed too loudly in the silence. But the version of him in the feed stood up at the exact same moment, except slightly smoother, slightly earlier, as if it already knew what he was going to do before he did it. And Mark felt, because every action he made was being copied in real time, but not perfectly, always a fraction ahead, like something was learning him. He took a step back, trying to reach the door behind him, but the screen suddenly zoomed in on his digital face, and the expression changed for the first time. It smiled slightly, not naturally, but deliberately, like it had achieved understanding. And another message appeared. You were never watching the feed. The feed was watching you. And Mark felt, because the words didn't feel like text anymore. They felt like a truth being forced into his mind. His vision blurred slightly as he turned toward the door. But before he could move further, every light in the apartment flickered once and shut off completely. And in that instant darkness, the only light left was the laptop screen, glowing like an eye in the void. And from that screen, his digital version slowly stepped closer to the camera, as if approaching the boundary between the screen and reality itself. Mark froze completely, unable to move, unable to breathe properly, because he realized there was no escape left, no system to shut down, no device to unplug. And the feed showed his digital self now standing right at the edge of the camera frame, reaching forward slowly, fingers extending toward the viewer.